Hello, I'm Jim Taylor, and we'll get started straight into it in a few moments. Can you leave a comment introducing yourself? So, our group's been involved in helping businesses find money, finding incentives, saving programs, saving energy, saving costs for the past 32 years. And we're anxious to try to share some of that knowledge with you folks. So, who is this for? This is for business owners, CFOs, public sector leaders, folks with buildings and employees looking for savings, and those who want to cut waste and inefficiencies and maybe invest that in growth. So if that's not you, you may want to jump off the call because this may not help you. So love him or hate him, Elon Musk, you can't really doubt his business sense and his thoughts about the future and what's happening. And he said, if you don't need new revenue when hidden savings exist. So take it from him. So we are not consultants, we are an execution accelerator. So we're not just going to bill you for a bunch of hours and give you a big report. We actually are outcome based, turnkey execution. So we do all the paperwork, we do everything involved in it, including a full energy procurement construction, turnkey projects if that's if that's what you want to do. So consultants give advice, we give outcomes. So your business has hidden asset class. So there's money hidden there for you in utility rebates, tax credits, operational waste reduction, uh, currently sitting dormant in your business. And our group spends all the time finding these, exposing them, and then also applying for them and seeing if you're interested in tapping into those incentives and programs. And there's more than you know out there. A long time ago, the Gardner Group came up with a number. It says a 5% reduction in operating costs has the same P&L impact as a 30% increase in sales. So a lot of people don't think of savings like that, but it really does have a big impact on it. And that was their conclusion, not mine. So we had a customer who's done 5 projects with us, and in 3 of the projects, he actually got $7.5 million of incentives, not just savings, that's actual incentives that contributed towards the building improvement of his project. So he needed a new roof, didn't want to write a check, and we were able to do that. He said, Jim, we're on our 5th project with you. I guess I have to buy more buildings. David Goldman. Sometimes the ROI is so fast. So Campcraft here had one 1.9 million and almost 1.8 million worth of incentives. And then Rockford Ball Screw, that is kind of an anomaly, but they're in a certain area where the incentives were 250,000 more than it cost to do the project. So Linda actually said, wow, I guess this is no brainer, isn't it? And so she went ahead with the project. So there's also incentives that are out there. A lot of companies don't realize this, but there's incentives for workforce development. So things like training for high performance and mental fitness and self care and those kind of programs where they can actually design a personalized diet for a person that might need it. If they're diabetic or overweight and they have goals, they want to change that. They'll have a personalized dietitian. A workout coach will design a personal routine directly for them. So, and there's all sorts of additional resources and support you can get from employees with no additional cost to the employer. Where does the money hide? Here's a situation, it's just a different way to look at it. It's an example in Illinois. There's Tesla Megapacks. So they're battery storage units for commercial. So you can put one behind the meter. And so what that does is it charges at night when the costs are less. And then when it sees that you're using the peak energy levels, then the battery kicks on and reduces those peak demand charges. Some people, their peak demand or their demand charges are 50% of their bill. So this is a real unique way to address that. And especially if you match it with solar, then you're charging the batteries during the day for free energy, and then using that to trim off those peaks that you get. And there's another program that's front of the meter. So this is where the grid owns it. So there's no real benefit electric wise for having this if it's in front of the meter. They're looking for spots to put these big units. They're like the container units, and they need to hook in right where your power is coming into your building. And if you've got room for, it might take up a few parking spots, but they're willing to pay you for the rent for that space to be able to have those batteries. They're doing exactly what we're saying. They're charge at night, and then they tap into those batteries, in August and a late afternoon when everyone turns on their energy, for their air conditioning and stuff, and that's when they tap into that. And they to have that right, they can pay you, depending on the size, $10,000 to $30,000 a year, just to have a spot to put these things at your facility. So that might not be for everybody, but it's something that's out there, and it literally costs you nothing. They pay to put them there. So there's also programs where there's no cost solar and battery packages. So there's companies that want to put that money up and own them. And then what they do is they sell you energy that system produces for a locked in low rate for 15, 20, 25 years, just depends. So there's that available. So no cost solar. And then there's also 100% project funding that we have through the power company. And if you happen to need a new roof, it covers the cost of the roof too. So they'll write the check for that, and literally you do pay it back, but after you're getting incentives to offset the whole thing, and after it's fully completed and turned on. So the execution engine. So we do the architecture, figure out what the easiest way to capitalize on some of these programs. We analyze that, and then we try to automate it to make sure that it happens like automatically. And then we're continuously optimizing the assets. So that's pretty much the execution engine. And for larger companies, so this is kind of reserved for companies that have $500 million in revenue per year, or more. So you've heard of the Doge way that Elon Musk went through all different parts of the US government. Well, this is Doge for companies. So they'll spend all the time and energy going into each silo or each division of a company, look at absolutely every little thing in there, a deep dive. They'll root out, extra charges or waste. It'll uses AI to do all those things, also detecting fraud and optimizing costs. So imagine if you're getting charged all the time for a particular part that you're buying from somebody. Well, what if that number changes? What if that number obscenely changes and it just goes through the system and gets paid? Well, this will catch it. Our capabilities for this, for the big companies like that, we have financial AI that goes in looking at costs. Maybe there's a way that you could float payroll a different way that could save the company millions. We use generative AI to automate creation, design, and code generation to look for ways to innovate and do things better. And then we've got autonomous AI that enables self-learning systems. So it will stay in your database and looking and maintaining and looking for any type of fraud, like 24/7, any type of overcharges, things like that. And this program actually uncovered $68 million in overcharges. This program in 90 days, so it's an outcome based program, we call it the wedge. So for 90 days, there's no cost, and we look for ways to save money and implement them and do it. So this was that the 90-day wedge was what found that $68 million in overcharges from a software company for a major US city. That's $68 million a year, zero upfront cost. This program was able to be activated for no cost, and it was just a small percentage on the actual savings is what and it ended up costing. So zero cost, proven impact, 100% outcome based model. So no upfront cost for you, and we only win when you do. So our group's been around saving businesses money since 1985. We've got 100% project funding from the power company, and yes, that's including the cost of a new roof. So they just didn't agree to fund our projects. It took years and years of earning that respect, completing projects, doing it right, in order for them to fund our projects. We're also a Sourcewell approved supplier. So that means it's a government agency that accepts pricing and bids on a nationwide basis for other government entities. So it's pre-negotiated pricing. So for any public, nonprofit, tribal, and educational project, cities, park districts, things like that, this eliminates the need to get three different bids because it's all been pre-negotiated. And then, as I mentioned before, we also have zero cost solar and battery options. That's usually if you have a ground mount area that's large or you don't need a new roof. There's zero cost solar battery options. You just pay a locked in low rate. Then you're locked in for anywhere between 25 and 15 years. It just depends on the numbers. So the savings intelligence roadmap. So we look at all different ways of possibly saving money, looking for incentives. Maybe there's some state, local incentives for hiring people. Maybe there's some local incentives for training. But we identify the largest opportunities, give you an opportunity report. Then, if you agree to do any of those things, we engineer, procure, and construct those projects. And then it's all turnkey. So you don't have to worry about filling out all that paperwork for the government. You might have to sign the application once we do it, but you spend your time running your business, and we go through all the red tape and get it done. So we also have an ironclad guarantee. So even for smaller companies, we're confident and we're willing to guarantee it, a minimum of a $25,000 savings guaranteed. If we don't find it, you don't pay. So there's no risk other than inaction and missing out on some things you might not know are out there. So the cost of waiting, incentive programs are being capped and cut. They change all the time, but there's some really big ones that are being cut. And there's a deadline of the 4th of July. If we get in under that window, you have extra time. There's another deadline that projects have to be fully completed by the end of 2027. And then, it just depends on the project and what you want to do. But Elon said, when systems are wasteful, we either fix them or pay more forever. It's a different way to look at it. But we do have a few questions, so let's just jump into a few here. Steve asked, what does saving millions without spending a dime really mean? Well, it means that we cover actual cash value, incentives, rebates, refunds. Some states pay you back money, but a lot of times those incentives are charged on your energy bill, and they collect that money. And unless you do a project, you never get that back. But a lot of them are actual cash that you get. So here's another one. Todd asked, are these real savings cash or just accounting entries? Well, like I said, it's when you combine them all. I mean, there's some tax incentives that, like bonus accelerated depreciation, things like that. Those are kind of accounting savings, but then the others are actual cash. You can actually sell the tax credits for around 85 to 90 cents on the dollar. So those can turn into real cash. And let's see, Tom said, what strategies do your companies use to unlock these savings? Well, we constantly are looking for incentives that are available for business. And a lot of times state programs have them. There could be a city program for hiring people. Some cities have a TIF where it's a tax incentive fund where they want to help you improve your building and keep the business open there and stay there and employ people. So there's all sorts of different incentives that are available, and we're always on the lookout for them. Mary asked, can a small business capture these savings too? And the answer is yes. Yeah, there's quite a few small to mid-sized companies that work with us. They wouldn't probably be eligible for that Doge type of deep dive, but there's a lot of incentives that are out there for workforce hiring and training, workforce development incentives. There's also energy savings for different kinds of upgrades, lighting, compressed air, and then again, if you need a new roof, there's incentives off the cost of the roof when you combine it with solar. So, and even the smaller companies can use the power company funding that we have available. And let's see, Keith asked, what real examples demonstrate these working savings programs? There's some things that when you're doing a building upgrade, you need to know that you're going to go after the incentives ahead of time, but you can't do the project and then go back and try to get the incentives. So it's good to have us there in the beginning, and we lay it all out, fill out the applications, do all these things ahead of time. But yeah, and the workforce development incentives that are available out there, they want people to be more proactive with their health and things like that. And there's incentives able that help with resources and all sorts of support to be able to offer that for no additional cost to your employees. Dominic, he said, are there risks or challenges to pursuing these savings? Well, they are a lot of paperwork. So the biggest challenge is administrative, handling the paperwork, documentation, compliance, doing all that right. But with our program, it's all turnkey done for you. So you don't have to worry about that part. So yeah, these incentives are being added to all the time, and they change all the time. They're being cut. Like I mentioned, there's some real big ones that are being cut soon, but we're still able to get them for now. So if you're interested in any of these kind of programs, let us know. I guess that's the end of the questions. You've got a choice: zero cost, proven impact. Choose to work with us and only pay a small amount of whatever we save you, or you can do it yourself. You can spend time online, Google, YouTube, all those. There's ways to find some of these incentives, but yeah, Elon had another quote: "Treat 10-year goals like 6-month projects. Act fast and think big, because things are changing, and if everyone seems to be right, and we're heading into a big manufacturing growth period, we want to be on the cutting edge of it, and we want to do it right, and we want to save money along the way and reinvest in growth. So thanks for attending. If you're interested, let us know, and you have a great day. Thanks.